Sustainability is a growing concern among companies. In such a globalized world, the pressure to change how enterprises conventionally interact with the environment can come from numerous and inadvertent places. But it is not only that. What also makes firms so concerned about achieving sustainability is that resources are limited, yet many business models are built on the exponential use of them, as if they were a plane that never crashes. We are running out of almost everything we thought as infinite and always available. A prime example is water, or sand, or forests, or even animals. Unfortunately, the list could go on for a very long time. Even if this panorama is already devastating, it would not be complete if we do not talk about one of the biggest problematics that we're currently facing: climate change. It is the sheer expression of what the untenable society we have built has done to the planet. From droughts and tropical storms to food insecurity and population displacement, climate change poses a huge threat that can no longer be ignored. As you might have guessed, sustainability and climate change must go hand in hand, for the first mitigates the second. Nonetheless, achieving responsibility towards the environment is a difficult task. According to Metcalf and Ben, it is widely recognized as a complex problem because the aspects that are relevant to the solution are large, highly interconnected, and constantly changing. Its structure and dynamics are not disclosed, and its goal structure is not straightforward. Therefore, the process of finding a way to accomplish sustainability demands a systems level redesign of how our society is built around production and consumption. That is why, throughout this documentary, we seek to answer the following question: what effect do collaborations for sustainability have on the process of finding solutions to society's most complex challenges? In order to do that, we will show how different stakeholders unite and rely on each other, creating networks of collaboration that touch upon complex problems that exacerbate climate change, such as food mismanagement and waste, irresponsible agricultural practices, deforestation, oceans pollution, carbon emissions, and contamination caused by the textile industry.
Nice to eat you is a winning solution when it comes to reducing food waste, since one third of the food produced in the world is wasted, generating serious consequences for the environment. On the other hand, it is known that a third of the world's population has difficulty in accessing quality food. For this reason, in order to fight against these two problems, Nice to Eat You has created a digital platform where it is possible to acquire at reduced prices food that at the end of its useful life has not been sold. Nice to Eat You accomplishes it in a way that business dedicated to the hotel and caterer industry or the sale of food products offer the articles that have not been sold at the end of the day or before their expiry date at very reduced prices. Users access these offers through the platform directly by entering app.nicetoeatyou.es, where they can see the list of all the establishments with their corresponding offers comfortably in a list or in a map. The payment is done in a simple way through the platform, and the products are collected in the same time specified by the commerce. And this way, the collaborating establishments revalue food that otherwise would end up being lost. Apart from the fact that the consumers get food in perfect conditions at very reduced prices, and it should be added that the planet benefits from a more responsible consumption system. Apart from this solution, where it is known that Nice to Eat You prevents food in a good condition from ending up in the garbage and therefore generating negative emissions for the environment, they also take initiative for people with few economic resources, where they have a campaign, hashtag Solidarity Lost, through which they give access to food from their platform to people who need it and without any cost, beyond counting on some initial funds to make the first solidarity distribution a reality. The main objective is to weave a network of solidarity that allows the initiative to be taken to a corner of Spain.
Land use in La Calera. In this project called Ecocampo La Calera, we work on the production of vegetables and fruits using different sustainable alternatives such as hydroponics, organic fertilizers, water reuse, care of springs, water rounds, hatchery of minor species, optimization of spaces and production. The sustainable plan is initially focused on goal number 12, responsible consumption and production. The implementation of this project in the agricultural sector in rural and village areas of Cundinamarca allows the growth of the local and municipal economy by creating sustainable alternatives to improve the quality of life of its inhabitants. To achieve the three pillars environment, social, and financial they include strategies such as participation in educational conferences and municipal fairs, as well as strategic alliances with public botanical garden and private, like local restaurants, entities. In addition to seeking to meet objective number 12, through these strategies to following sustainable development objectives are complemented.
Today, sadly, it is common to see multiple press releases in the news or on the internet that show us the effects of indiscriminate felling of trees all around the world, which is usually done as a measure to extend livestock farming or simply illegal logging of these in anywhere on the planet. As we all know, the consequences of this indiscriminate logging translates into habitat degradation, alterations in the global climate, reduction in the capacity to absorb the large amount of CO2 that we as humans produce, and also the alteration in the water cycle, among many other consequences that, day by day, lead us to a worse quality of life for the future generations. Although there are multiple organizations that are dedicated to the protection of our forests and jungle to avoid indiscriminate logging and extensive burning processes, we also find companies that, in their own way, help not only to preserve the planet trees, but also contribute to the reforestation in those areas that are widely affected by the aforementioned practices. Today, I want to highlight and talk to you about Century, a Canadian brand that presents a new ecological concept in fashion. As its name indicates quite clearly, for each piece of clothing that the brand sells, it will plant 10 trees, thus contributing not only to the ecological production of its garments, to the use of sustainable materials for its designs, such as coconut shells for buttons, cork for patches, natural dyes, hemp, organic cotton, or linen. It also helps the reforestation in the places of the planet that need it the most. These reforestation processes are carried out by a company created by the brand's founders, Derek Emsley and its brother Caleb. The interesting thing about this is that each piece of clothing has a tree code. When entering the page www.century.com, you are able to decide where the new tree will be planted. As part of its commitment to caring for the environment and conserving fresh and pure air, the company has planted more than 25 million trees to date in different countries all around the world.
Let's continue with another complex problem: oceans pollution. Whether it is because of plastics or oil spills, oceans contamination affects marine life. It destroys habitats and changes the normal behavior of animals, damaging the complex dynamics between each other. However, animals that live on the sea are not the only ones affected. People who live on coast and whose main source of food and income is related to the ocean struggle directly with the consequences of contamination. Moreover, polluting the ocean hinders the ability of marine flora to absorb CO2, which in turn reduces air quality and worsens climate change. As plastic pollution is becoming a more urgent issue, companies and institutions in the public sector are willing to carry out bold actions to reduce their plastic leakage. Nonetheless, they lack the tools to appropriately do so. Thus, To avoid measures that provide quick fixes at the level of the product end of life, such as banning single use plastics and taxing plastic bags, the Plastic Leak Project was born. It is an initiative launched by Quantis, a leading environmental sustainability consultancy, along with EA, an ecologic design center. It involves multiple stakeholders in the process of developing robust metrics and guidance to help shape operational solutions and effective actions throughout the whole value chain in order to address, at a systemic level, the plastic and microplastic pollution crisis that is devastating the oceans. Currently, it has 18 members. Some are companies from diverse industries such as Adidas, the Dow Chemical Company, and McDonald's Corporation, and some, on the other hand, are international organizations like the United Nations Environment Programme and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development.
Now we will go to one of the most affected places in all over the planet by the pollution and human activity in general. We're talking about the ocean. These vast expanses of water, in which we all enjoy the sun and others, are being severely hit by the dumping of waste and materials that are used very little but have degradation processes that can last hundreds of years. In this occasion, we will focus on fishing nets and a project that seeks to give them a second chance beyond damaging the marine ecosystem. RedCycle is a project for the collection and recycling of fishing nets that remain adrift in the ocean. Its objective is to collect, transform, and bring them back to life in the form of ecological and sustainable clothing. This project was created in 2015 as an effort to create awareness and sensitize society and the fishing sector to protect the planet and together achieve a better Earth. How do they do that? In an alliance of multiple organizations committed to caring for all oceans. That's the answer. It begins with the Terna company, which is responsible for collecting the nets from the ocean. Subsequently, the nets are sent to Slovenia, where the Italian company Aquafil prepare, sherds, and clean the waste to send it to the Econil regeneration plant. There, the waste begins its journey to regeneration, returning to the raw material and becoming Econil yarn, which is sent to the fabric producers. This thread is sent to Barcelona, where the fabrics are developed, and once in Mondragon, the process of designing and developing the garments begins. The result? A new fabric that becomes recyclable, and respectful with the planet. According to the brand's data, since 2016, 12 tons of nets have been revalued, which right now are part of t-shirts, pants, jackets, etc. All of them with the seal of Turtle.
Positive carbon houses offer a more environmental conscious design, both through an energy reduction during their construction and by maintaining a positive energy production throughout their use, which is why the Australian company Archiblogs has generated a design, this being the first carbon positive prefabricated house in the world. Archie carbon positive houses introduce a sustainable lifestyle after construction. The use of thermal control technologies allows intelligent solutions to reduce heating and cooling costs. These include geothermal air conditioning, sliding cultivation walls that reduce solar incidence, and green roofs that provide better thermal insulation. This prototype of houses stand out in the field of sustainability for their passive design strategies. The cultivation walls are used in the summer months that reduce and filter solar radiation, while in the winter months they are retracted to create a thermal envelope more compact, this being an effective geothermal air conditioning system. This another characteristic make the Archie carbon positive house allows an annual saving of 101% in carbon emissions receiving a platinum rating. At the global level, it addresses the Sustainable Development Goals 3. Good health and well-being. 11. Sustainable cities and communities. And 13. Climate action. Spin Lizard is an internet bike rental service that works like Airbnb. Anyone can rent their bicycle and any user can request to rent it. This idea was born in the United States but is already present in 40 countries around the world. The process to rent a bicycle is quite simple, both for the user and the owner. The former only have to enter a city, country, or postal code in the search engine and choose one of the options that appear. If the owner accepts your request, you will be able to meet him once you enter your bank details, which serves as a double security measure. Spam Lizard includes its own messaging service to facilitate the process, and also verifies that the data is correct, and the United States and Canada they take care of any calls in case the rented bicycle is stolen. The advantage of an application of this type, in addition to encouraging people to use bicycles instead of cars, also environmentally sustainability, improving the circulation of public roads, among others. Why this advantage? The basic idea of the service is to make it is easier for sporty and conscientious people to opt for this sustainable solution on vacation or when visiting other cities.
Additionally, we have the fashion industry, which according to the UN is the second most polluting industry on the planet, producing more carbon emissions than all international flights and maritime transport combined. In fact, having multiplied all its production in recent years, the impact it has had on the environment has triggered high levels of pollution and also has proposed a series of complex challenges that affect all aspects of the industry, but even establishes a need to go to a more sustainable path and to use fossil-free materials. Further, taking into account that we live in a highly consumerist society, there is a high demand in the world of fashion that generates, through large companies, basically slave countries in which textile workers work in less hours, under conditions more than deplorable and with all the laws of their country against them, in exchange for miserable salaries that do not allow them to cover even the most basic needs. Thus, as the global population increases, the need for alternative fibers that meet the demands of good sustainability, performance, and low cost will increase even more. Textiles made from cellulose has the potential to be one of the answers, as it can be used both as an alternative and a complement to cotton and synthetic fibers. Therefore, I want to introduce you to one of the projects developed by one of the probably best positioned brands in different countries, H&M, in collaboration with Inter-IKEA Group, Lars Stixon, and Stora Enso. This sustainable initiative, founded in 2014, was called Tree to Textile, and within it, it aims to take renewable materials from the forest to regenerate cellulose into a textile fiber, resulting in less use of energy and chemicals compared to other kinds of textile processes, having in addition, that the fiber that results can be used not only for clothing but also for small furniture. So, Trade to Textile is built on a common vision: better textiles in harmony with nature. To all, and its goal is to deploy new technology for textiles made from cellulose and make it accessible for textile suppliers and brands around the world, also building a better society aware of its consumption and its decisions.
As is well known, one of the industries that pollutes so much is the textile industry, and especially the industry with a focus on fast fashion. The manufacturing process of these garments is very damaging to the ecosystem just by looking at environmental deterioration and the few sanitary controls that exist in producing countries such as Bangladesh or China. On the other hand, the useful life of this garment is really very short, so the amount of discarded clothes is considerably high. Seeing this problem, a young couple in Spain decided to set up a used clothing business, which name is Arizona Vintage. They saw that normally people's preference are highly variable since they are conditioned to the season in which they are, trends and other moments related to fashion. So on some occasions, people have clothes that they no longer use and that are in very good condition. In this way, those garments that can end up in the trash are given a second chance. However, Arizona Vintage had several problems because it's really difficult to find second-hand garments in good condition. But they tried to improve this problem. Fabric deciding to recycling these garments that are already very worn to make new clothes reusing these fabrics and design to seek to show their customers the change that clothes has undergone and how this has a positive impact on the environment. I believe that this company has a strong sustainability objective because its focus isn't on offering used clothing, but rather that its customer understand the history behind these garments and see the use that can be given to all clothes, making it a kind of trend in a way. And on the other hand, they reduce the environmental impact because their products are second-hand and they don't need to produce new products and they just try to transforming old products like for example an old blazer into a skirt.
You may be wondering then, what is the answer to the question that we posed from the beginning? What effect do collaborations for sustainability have on the process of finding solutions to society's most complex problems? Well, as could be seen throughout the video, collaborations not only between well-known companies but also in those that are probably not so well-known are extremely important. Day by day, society begins to generate new needs to meet, and together with them, new problems that can expand exponentially and establish what we could call complex problems. From there, and through the examples developed in this documentary, we can show that many times those situations that may arise within a society are not always directly about the physical and perhaps superficial aspects of the people that compose it, but factors such as the environment, the economy, politics, security, basic needs, and many other elements that can pose a problem in a short or a long term must also be taken into account. So, how is it that collaborations are part of these processes and take into account the aforementioned aspects? Well, mainly it is important not to generalize these collaborations and always be open to the many possibilities that it can offer, since many times it is only through them that we will be able to achieve the solutions that on several occasions we cannot even perceive due to the existence of a single point of view. And well, that's it. Collaborations give us more knowledge than we already have. They provide us with new ideas, possibilities, and elements that if we manage to carry out in the best way, they will give us endless opportunities to reach society and help her in many ways.